There is a reason why the eagle flies alone, not because it is afraid, not because it is proud, but because great height requires separation. Some of you watching this feel like you don't belong anywhere, like your thoughts are too deep to be understood, or your heart is too awake to fit in. You are not antisocial. You are spiritually assigned. That ache you feel inside is not loneliness. It is legacy being built in silence. You don't walk with the crowd because you were never made for average. You are not ignored. You are hidden. You are not rejected. You are protected. If you've ever wondered why you always feel like the outsider in every place, why your spirit feels heavier when surrounded by noise, or why silence feels more sacred than applause, this message is for you. By the end of these words, you will know why you walk alone, why certain people could not stay, and why you must never shrink yourself just to be seen. Being chosen means being set apart, not cast away. Stay close to these words. There is something clearly different about those who carry the mark of the anointing. You can't always explain it, but when they enter a room, something changes in the air. It's not charm, it's not confidence, it's not talent, it's a weight. A quiet, steady power that comes from being chosen, called and prepared for something greater than attention, greater than applause, greater than being liked. And because of that, they cannot be everywhere. They cannot be with everyone. They are not built for mass attention. They are not shaped to blend in. Their soul was never meant to walk shoulder to shoulder with the ordinary. There is a holiness in their path, a sacred peace in their silence, a divine rhythm in their journey that cannot exist in crowded places or noisy company. The anointed are never surrounded by many, not because they are better, but because their design is unique. Many people do not understand this and take it personally. They mistake your quietness for pride, your distance for judgment, your silence for rejection. But what they don't know is that carrying an anointing comes with a price. You cannot have what everyone has and still hear God clearly. You cannot be in every room and still protect your oil. You cannot wander carelessly and still guard the sacred flame within you. Your spirit moves on a frequency others do not hear. And the more voices you let into your space, the harder it becomes to hear the whisper of destiny. Crowds bring noise, confusion, and compromise. And for someone with oil on their name, compromise is too costly. There is no anointing without separation. Every chosen person in the sacred stories, every prophet, every healer, every builder of faith, they were all pulled aside before they were lifted up. Before the anointing is shown to the world, it must be protected in private. That is why you have felt the sting of disconnection, that slow drifting from people you once loved, that strange emptiness when you stand in rooms filled with people but lacking purpose. That tiredness that does not come from the body, but from pretending to fit in where your spirit no longer belongs. That ache is not random. It is divine separation. You were pulled back because something holy is being formed within you, something set apart, and not everyone can handle the process of your becoming. Not everyone can be trusted around your oil. The anointing on your life makes people uneasy, especially those who benefit from your silence, your shrinking, your playing small. But you are not here to please everyone. You are here to move with purpose. And purpose rarely travels with a crowd. Sometimes it comes with long nights, quiet prayers, unanswered questions, and a solitude that humbles you completely. That is the breaking that releases the oil. And here is the truth. When you are truly anointed, you will be lonely before you are legendary. You will be misunderstood before you are honored. You will be unseen before you are celebrated. That is the pattern. That is the preparation. Because if your soul is not strengthened in private, the weight of public purpose will crush you. So God hides you. Not because you are unready to be seen, but because He is not ready to see you wounded. He loves you too much to let your name rise before your character is grounded. He protects your oil before others can touch your overflow. This is not punishment. This is preparation. The cocoon may feel like a cage, but it is truly protection. You are being formed. And let's be honest, most people want your light, but not your labor. They want the shine without the struggle. They want the overflow without the pressing. They love the fruit, but could never handle the crushing. That is why the anointed must be careful. They cannot allow everyone near their sacred space. They cannot reveal their process to public judgment. When God anoints you, your life becomes consecrated. Everything you do carries spiritual weight. Even your silence speaks. even your presence convicts. That is why your circle must be intentional, small, sanctified. Not because you are above anyone, but because what you carry is greater than most can handle. You are not for the masses. You are for the moment, and when that moment arrives, your voice will echo for generations. But until then, remain hidden, nurtured, preserved. There is glory in the shadows. There is strength in the silence. There is growth in the secret places. Do not resist the isolation. Do not mourn the connections that faded. Do not chase rooms that no longer feel aligned. You were never called to blend in. You were called to transform. And transformation does not happen in crowds. It happens in caves, in quiet spaces where your soul meets the sacred, where your pride dies and your purpose rises. Let them go. Let the crowd keep dancing to their own noise. You have a different melody within you, a song that can only be sung through obedience, a sound that grows in stillness. This is not a season of popularity. It is a season of pruning, of preparation, of protecting the anointing that has been upon you since before you were born. The chosen are never overcrowded because crowds are carriers of distraction, and distraction is the thief of destiny. You were not designed to be everywhere. You were designed to be effective, and effectiveness is born in isolation. Ask any prophet, any healer, any messenger of truth. Their lives were never crowded. They were consecrated. So is yours. Stay the path. Protect your oil. Value your solitude. And never forget the weight of what you carry is the reason for your separation. You were not rejected. You were reserved. You were not abandoned. You were appointed. You were not forgotten. You were foretold. The anointing costs too much to be handled by many. The chosen must walk lightly, for what they carry is heavy. There are truths that ears may not hear, yet the soul always knows. There are secrets that lips never speak, yet the spirit feels them long before words exist. When you are chosen, when heaven has marked you and trusted you with purpose, your sensitivity is not weakness. It is your compass. It is how you move through a world too busy pretending to see while refusing to feel. The chosen don't need people to speak for proof. They don't need evidence. They simply know. They sense. They feel. They read the energy of a room before they even take a seat. They can tell who carries peace and who carries pretense. This isn't paranoia. It isn't overthinking. It's discernment shaped through pain, betrayal, loss, and awakening. Energy never lies. Smiles can lie, words can deceive. Praise can hide motives. Intentions can pretend. But energy reveals all. The soul has no disguise. When you are chosen, your body becomes a receiver. You walk into a space and suddenly feel heavy. You don't know why, but your heart tightens. You smile politely, but inside your spirit whispers, "Don't stay long." That is not fear. That is wisdom. That is divine warning. That is God saying, "This place is too loud for your peace." Sometimes the ones you sense it from most are those closest to you, because the most dangerous energies do not come from enemies. They come from those who smile at your face but struggle with your growth, from those who pretend to love you but secretly compete, from those who say the right words but their spirit flinches when you rise. The chosen do not just hear what is said. They feel what is unsaid. This is the burden of carrying sacred energy in a world that glorifies pretending. You walk in love, yet you feel the envy. You lead with peace, yet you sense the resistance. You show grace, yet you notice the shadow hiding behind the compliment. No one else may see it, but you do. Because vibrations never lie. There is a solitude that comes with being sensitive to energy. You don't choose it, it chooses you. You don't want to read every shift, every flicker of attitude, every hidden jab, but your spirit refuses to ignore it. So you grow quiet. You grow careful, not out of pride, but protection. You stop explaining your silence to those who do not respect your spirit. You stop doubting the signals your soul sends. You stop shrinking just to keep others comfortable. Because when you carry light, it will always disturb what lives in darkness. It is not your job to dim your glow so others can remain in disguise. You are not chosen to be tolerated. You are chosen to be felt. That is why people remember you even after you leave. That is why your presence lingers. It's not your words they recall. It's your energy. You carried truth. You carried peace. You carried clarity. You carried reflection. Some people hate reflection because it exposes their masks. So don't be surprised when they distance themselves. Don't be hurt when they turn cold without reason. Don't chase closure your spirit already received. Everyone cannot handle the vibration of the chosen. Not because the chosen are higher, but because their energy is honest. And honesty shakes what is false. The chosen cannot fake loyalty, cannot fake joy, cannot fake interest. Their soul rejects what is not real. It's not arrogance, it's awareness. That is why shallow talk exhausts them, gossip drains them, and fake concern unsettles them. Their spirit no longer tolerates the surface. They crave truth, stillness, and depth. They find peace in solitude rather than in noise. They feel more alive in quiet truth than in loud pretension. They would rather sit with one real soul than 100 wearing masks. Their joy is not powered by attention. It is powered by alignment. This sensitivity was not something they chose. It was something they grew into. Every heartbreak shaped it. Every betrayal sharpened it. Every disappointment refined it. Their discernment became a sacred weapon, and their peace became their shield. So when they feel a shift, they don't argue. They don't fight to stay. They don't beg to be understood. They honor the feeling and walk away quietly. They let others keep their comfort. They let truth reveal itself. They don't need explanations because they already sense the end before words were spoken. Vibrations never lie. And when you are chosen, you stop begging for clarity your spirit already revealed. The truth is, the chosen are always one conversation away from walking away. Not because they are unstable, but because they refuse to stay where their peace is not honored. They do not hold on out of fear. They do not trade peace for company. They do not chase what drains them. They move with respect for what they carry. When they feel the tone change, the distance grow, the smile fade, the energy shift, they do not confront. They withdraw. And in that quiet withdrawal, they protect the sacred, because what they carry is not for everyone. Their vibration is not meant to please all. Some people are not offended by what you said. They are offended by what you are. That is not your fault. That is the price of authenticity. You will not be for everyone, but you will be exactly what the right souls have prayed for. So trust the shift. Trust what you sense, even when logic argues, even when the words don't match the feeling, even when the room cheers but your spirit tenses. Believe your gift, because your gift will always lead you toward truth. There are paths carved into destiny that were never meant for crowds. Roads so narrow, so divine, so intentional that even one wrong voice can push you off course. When you are chosen, your path cannot look like anyone else's. It cannot, because what you carry is too sacred, too exact to share with just anyone. From the moment you were marked, before your first breath, your journey was designed with solitude written into it. Not loneliness, not rejection, but holy separation. The world says success is measured by how many walk beside you, how many clap when your name is called, how many like what you do. But the soul knows different. The soul knows there are mountains meant to be climbed barefoot and alone. And no one teaches you that. No one tells you about the nights no one checks in. No one explains that being chosen also means being cut off, cut out, cut away from comfort. Because when you are called, you cannot move like others. You cannot wait for others to confirm what only you were shown. There is no map when you are chosen, only the voice within. You will see others walking together, laughing together, planning together, and you'll feel your feet taking another path. And that's exactly where you're meant to be. You'll try to blend in, try to follow their road, try to walk their way, but your spirit will grow uneasy. Your peace will be disturbed. And deep inside, you will know this is not your path, because your road is not wide, it is not smooth, it is not glamorous. It is a wilderness trail, one that breaks you before it builds you. And only those prepared in spirit can endure it. You cannot bring unaligned hands into sacred spaces. You cannot share holy air with casual spirits. What is on your life is rare, and rare assignments demand rare environments. So you walk sometimes with tears, sometimes trembling, sometimes carrying questions too heavy for the day. But you walk not because it is easy, but because your soul knows that staying still would be disobedience. You walk even when your heart feels heavy. You walk even when your strength is thin. You walk not because you can see the finish, but because you trust the one who lit your path. And as you walk, you will lose things, people, comfort, familiarity. You'll try to hold on, try to explain your growth, try to soften the separation, but the road does not bend for nostalgia. The calling does not accommodate convenience. There comes a moment when you must choose between their approval and your assignment, between being liked and being aligned. And alignment often walks alone, at least for a season. But do not be fooled. There is glory in walking alone. There is revelation in the quiet. there is clarity that only comes when no one else's shadow is beside you. In the silence, you learn the sound of your own spirit. You hear God's voice more clearly. You begin to understand what it means to be sustained not by applause but by purpose. Because when you are chosen, the road becomes a mirror. It reflects you, not the version others see, but the raw, unfiltered, sacred self. The self who doubts, who hopes, who wrestles with faith, who questions the silence, who keeps moving anyway. You learn your rhythms. You discover your strength. You realize that you are not fragile. You are being forged. There is something holy about walking alone. Not because you want it, but because you have been appointed for it. You start to see that isolation was not rejection. It was protection. It was the divine wrapping you in silence so that you wouldn't be distracted by voices not meant for your destiny. You were being set apart, not pushed aside. And yes, there are days when the silence feels too loud, when the path feels too long, when you wish for company, conversation, someone to just understand. But even in that longing, you are being purified. You are learning the sacred art of leaning not on people but on presence. Because the truth is, when you are chosen, even well-meaning people can become distractions. Even kind hearts can delay you without realizing it. Sometimes the journey requires solitude so deep even love must wait outside. Not because you do not love, but because this part of your walk is not for spectators. It is between you and the spirit that called you. That's why doors close. That's why calls stop coming. That's why those you thought would walk forever with you fade into memory. They were not meant to go where you are going. And your heart, though bruised, must accept it. Some bonds were bridges only. Some connections were lessons only. Some hands were meant to hold you for a chapter, not the whole story. And still you walk. You walk because the road is narrow, but it is necessary. You walk because what is ahead cannot wait. You walk because now you understand this is not punishment. This is preparation. You are being trained for a weight others will never carry. You are learning how to walk without being carried. You are becoming a storm walker, a light bearer, a soul who does not flinch when winds rise. Because this path, though lonely, is building something in you that cannot be shaken. Others may inherit success, but you will inherit strength. And there will come a day when you look back and see you were never truly alone. There was always something within you, guiding, holding you upright when knees buckled, lifting your face when tears blurred the way. That unseen hand, that eternal comfort, that divine presence that required your full attention. That is why others could not come. They would have distracted you from the one training you for destiny. This is why chosen ones walk paths only wide enough for one. Because the sacred journey demands your full presence. There is something ahead with your name on it, and if anyone else tried to walk it with you, they would step on what only you are meant to carry. So let them question, let them misunderstand, let them call it isolation, pride, or strange. Let them watch from their wide roads. You are not called to explain your walk, you are called to finish it. And when you do, when you reach the clearing after the wilderness, when dust settles and your strength shines through the bruises, those who watched will wonder how you made it. And you'll know you made it because you walked roads meant only for your footprints. And you never stopped walking. There are places only silence can take you. Depths of the soul no conversation can reach. Truths that never surface in crowds, but rise like incense in quiet alone. And if you have ever been in that silence, aching, asking why the room emptied as your heart filled, you are not cursed. You are not forgotten. You are being taught. Loneliness is not punishment. It is a curriculum. And the classroom has no windows, no applause, no affirming nods. Only you, your breath, your questions, and the unseen hand of something holy pressing gently on your shoulder saying, "Sit down, we have work to do." Chosen ones do not just wake up wise. They do not simply become grounded. They do not simply awaken. No, they are broken first, stripped, emptied, placed in silence that teaches what no mentor could. That silence, that space of separation and self-discovery is where roots grow. People think loneliness is the enemy, but for the chosen, it is the invitation. The divine saying, come away from their voices so you can hear mine. Come away from noise, opinions, distractions, dependence. Come away from needing to be understood and into the sanctuary of simply being. Come away. The world teaches us to fear being alone as if it is failure, as if solitude is wrong. But the sacred knows better. The sacred knows that before elevation comes isolation. Before clarity comes emptiness. Before birthing comes the pain of carrying what no one else can feel. And yes, it hurts. Yes, there are nights when silence feels so heavy it presses on your chest. Mornings when you reach for a hand that is not there. Moments when you long to be seen not by a crowd, but by one soul who understands, but still no one comes. And that is when the teaching begins. Because in that hunger to be known, you learn to know yourself. In that ache for connection, you learn to commune with your Creator. In that space of no one, you meet the one who has never left you. This is the mystery of the classroom of loneliness. What feels empty is the presence of the sacred, undistracted, unfiltered, unshared. You finally become quiet enough to hear what has whispered to your spirit for years, but noise kept drowning it out. There are things about yourself you will never learn with others present. You cannot find your voice while constantly listening to theirs. You cannot discover your power while leaning on their strength. You cannot develop vision through their eyes. You must sit in silence and face the parts of yourself you have been avoiding. Old wounds, buried questions, insecurities masked with smiles, gifts too afraid to claim. The truth of who you are beneath all the layers you've worn. That truth waits in the quiet, and loneliness brings you to it. But we resist it, we run, we scroll, text, call, fill every moment to avoid the empty space. We fear quiet because we fear what it might reveal. But the silence will not break you. It will rebuild you. It will teach you to breathe without permission. It will show you to walk without applause. It will lead you to strength that does not beg to be seen. And when you rise, when the season of aloneness shifts, you will not be the same. You will speak with authority grown in the garden of your own pain. You will walk with grace forged in solitude. You will stop chasing connection and start cultivating alignment. You will no longer accept company that costs peace or conversations that dilute spirit, because you will have learned loneliness does not mean you are unworthy of love. It means you are being prepared to recognize it when it is real. Loneliness does not mean you are unloved. It means you are being emptied of counterfeit affection to receive what is true. Loneliness does not mean punishment. It means you are being positioned, refined. Read it because your next season requires a version of you who can stand without being held. That version of you is born only in the classroom of being alone. Do not fear it. Do not fight it. Do not explain it to those who don't understand. Some will not get it. They will think you are pulling away, becoming distant, cold. Let them wonder. You are not retreating. You are returning. Returning to your soul, to your knowing, to the still sacred truth at your center. There is wisdom that does not come from conversation. Healing that does not happen in public. Alignment that requires walking through the valley of your becoming with no one clapping, no one calling, no one cheering, just you and the voice saying, keep going. The chosen are not made on platforms, they are made in silence. And the loneliness you feel is not your end, it is your initiation. You are not empty, you are being cleared. You are not forgotten, you are being formed. You are not invisible, you are being instructed. And when the lesson is complete, you will know. You will walk into a room and no longer shrink. You will hear noise and not crave it. You will see the crowd and not envy it, because you will have learned deep in your bones that your soul can feast in silence, that your spirit can sing even when no one listens, that your joy is not based on proximity but on peace, that your worth is not in company but in calling. This is the gift the classroom gives. It is quiet, it is lonely, but never without purpose. And when you graduate from that sacred space, you will walk differently. Not because others changed, but because you did. There are people whose presence feels like sanctuary. You don't meet them, you encounter them. When they enter a space, it is not with noise, but with knowing. Not with flash, but with force. You don't always notice them at first, not because they are invisible, but because they do not need to be seen. Their energy speaks before their name is mentioned. These are not ordinary souls. These are the chosen, the aware, the deeply awakened. They do not move fast. They do not speak just to fill silence. They do not scatter themselves like loose change hoping to be picked up, because their spirit is too precious for casual company. You can feel their worth immediately, not in pride, but in presence, depth, discernment, the way they see you through your mask. Their silence challenges your noise. Their stillness exposes your need to impress. A deeply spiritual person cannot survive in shallow relationships. They cannot breathe in small talk. They cannot stretch in rooms of performance with no truth. They were not made to entertain. They were made to elevate. And elevation has a price. Not everyone can pay. To walk beside someone like this requires more than charm. It requires capacity. It requires self-awareness. It requires presence, honesty, reverence. Anything false cannot survive in their energy. Their spirit will not allow it. That is why chosen ones are often alone, not because they don't love, but because they cannot be casual with sacred things. Their time is sacred. Their peace is sacred. Their calling is sacred. Sacred things must be guarded, not given freely. They learned this the hard way. They handed their hearts to those who mishandled it. They poured into others who only came to consume. They shared deep truths with shallow spirits only to meet confusion or betrayal. And so now they protect their energy like a priest guards the altar. Not because they are closed, but because they have been cut. Not because they are bitter, but because they are finally wise. Every chosen one remembers the moment they realized their light was dimmed, not by enemies, but by people too casual with their presence. People who clapped when convenient but vanished when soul work began. People who loved gifts but not the giver. When that moment came, they didn't explode. They left quietly, maybe with tears, but knowing their spirit was never meant to be handled without care. Casual energy contaminates sacred space. When you walk in purpose, when every breath is tied to something divine, when your soul feels season shifts, you cannot keep company with those who come to be entertained. Your spirit needs resonance, reciprocity, rootedness, not flattery, not surface attention. You have outgrown relationships that feed ego but starve essence. Being alone with spirit intact is better than being surrounded while light fades. You have seen what happens when the wrong people stay too long. You start questioning your own depth. You begin silencing your intuition to keep peace. You shrink not because you choose to, but because their energy cannot hold the full expression of who you are becoming. And that's when you finally realize your spirit is not for rent. It is not to be lent to anyone who cannot carry it with honor. It is not a currency to be exchanged for likes, for claps, for company. Your spirit is home, and not everyone deserves a key. There is strength in knowing your worth without needing to announce it. There is power in walking away, not with anger, but with understanding. Understanding that some people were not rejecting you. They were showing their limits, and your calling was simply too heavy for them to carry. Let them go. You are not cold. You are clear. You are not distant. You are discerning. You are not guarded. You are graced. And the grace that surrounds your life cannot be explained to those who've never carried something sacred. They won't understand why you need silence, why you pull back, why you no longer force conversations that feel empty, why you skip some gatherings, why your smile is softer, but your boundaries are stronger. But you know that peace is costly, and you paid too much to lose it now. You know your gifts are not for display, but for destiny. You know your presence is a privilege, not a favor. You know that your time is a seed, and only fertile ground deserves your planting. So you move differently, not with pride, but with purpose. You don't chase. You don't beg, you don't perform. You don't entertain people who only show up when you shine, but disappear when your soul needs shelter. You don't explain your value to those who treat you like an option. You don't waste your depth on conversations that never reach the truth, because you've learned what sacred must be guarded. And you, beloved, are sacred. Your laugh, your tears, your truth, your silence, your insight, your energy, it all holds divine weight. And the people meant for you will feel that weight. They will not fear it. They will not exploit it. They will honor it. They will match it. They will rise to meet it. You will never have to convince aligned souls to cherish what you carry. So rest. Rest in knowing that your sensitivity is not a flaw. It is a filter. It filters out the ones who want your light but cannot handle your fire. It filters out the ones who come with empty hands and entitled hearts. It filters out the ones who speak of loyalty but vanish when integrity is required. And it leaves you with the truth that fewer people doesn't mean less love. That solitude doesn't mean scarcity. That being selective is not selfish. It's spiritual stewardship. So let your spirit remain rare. Let your soul stay sacred. Let your presence be precious. Because the right people will not treat you like a convenience. They will know the cost of your spirit, and they will pay it gladly. There are people who walk through life as if carrying something invisible but heavy. You can feel it in how they move, how they pause before speaking, how they say no with quiet authority. They are not loud, but their presence is commanding. They are not flashy, but their presence lingers. They are not trying to be seen because they know they are being used not by the world but by something higher. They are protectors of sacred assignments. They carry something holy inside. A vision, a calling, a purpose not printed on business cards or shouted from rooftops, but written in their bones. You won't always see it immediately. You might mistake them for quiet, withdrawn, too selective, or even distant. But what you are witnessing is a soul under instruction. They are listening to guidance the world cannot hear. They are aligned with directions that don't always make sense to the masses. Because when you're carrying something sacred, you don't move like everyone else. You don't share every thought. You don't chase every opportunity. You don't let every hand touch what is being formed inside you. The assignment requires care. The instruction demands discipline. The purpose is too pure to be placed in careless hands. People may call it overprotective, but when you are entrusted with divine work, you must guard it. The enemy of sacred things is not always destruction. Sometimes it's exposure. Sometimes it's applause too soon. Sometimes it's advice from unassigned mouths. Sometimes it's good people giving wrong guidance because they don't know what you're carrying. So you protect it. You guard the idea before it becomes visible. You guard the calling before it's celebrated. You guard the direction before the path is even clear. Not because of fear, but because you understand. Greatness grows in secret before it is ever shown in public. The womb is quiet before birth. The seed breaks underground before it blooms. The oil is pressed in silence before it heals nations. And so you protect it. You don't announce everything. You don't seek validation from the crowd. You don't need 10 opinions before obeying the whisper. You've learned that what is sacred cannot be shared carelessly. Some dreams die not because they weren't divine, but because they were spoken too soon, shared too widely, or handled by someone who didn't respect their weight. You've seen it. You've seen jealousy hide behind smiles. You've seen manipulation cloak itself in concern. You've seen proximity not always equal safety. So now you carry your assignment like a sacred scroll, folded, sealed, and kept close to your heart. Not out of fear, but out of reverence. Reverence for timing. Reverence for the giver. Reverence for the people who will one day benefit from what you are birthing, because it's not just about you. That's what makes it sacred. Sacred assignments always reach beyond the self. They are bigger than one name, one moment, one stage. They are the kind of callings that echo into generations. The kind that heal bloodlines, awaken sleeping souls, and change the energy of every space they touch. And to carry that power, you must walk with integrity. You must speak with caution. You must live with purpose. You must move differently. Because sacred doesn't mix with carelessness. Sacred doesn't move with desperation. Sacred doesn't settle for being liked. Sacred requires maturity, patience, wisdom, and sometimes heartbreak. The path of the protector is not easy. There will be times when loneliness feels unbearable. Times when you wonder if you heard wrong. Times when waiting stretches so long you start to doubt if the assignment still exists. You'll watch others run ahead, broadcast every move, collect applause, win quickly, and you'll feel the tension of stillness, the ache of restraint. But that restraint, that quiet obedience, that invisible work, it preserves your oil, it shapes your voice, it strengthens your foundation. Because when the time comes, when the moment is right and the world is ready, what you carry will not come as a whisper, it will come as a shift. And everyone who once overlooked you will see why you had to be so careful, so quiet, so withdrawn, so protective. They'll see why you skipped some events, why you didn't jump at every chance, why you left certain circles and outgrew some conversations. They'll understand you weren't hiding, you were honoring. You were honoring the weight of what was placed inside. You were honoring the silence that let your gift grow. You were honoring the instructions that made no sense to anyone else. And when it's finally revealed, when the vision becomes clear, people will call it power. They'll call it wisdom. They'll call it grace. But you'll know the truth. You'll know it was born of discipline, consecration, pain, late nights wrestling with doubt, early mornings filled with prayer, and ordinary days full of obedience. You'll know the price. And that's why you'll never handle someone else's sacred work with casual hands. You'll recognize the weight in others. You'll protect them the way you had to protect yourself. You'll become a safe place for visionaries, prophets, dreamers, healers. Because once you protect your own assignment, you instinctively guard what is divine in others. You'll speak less, but your presence will say more. You'll advise carefully because you know how fragile sacred things are at first. You'll listen deeply because you know how few places truly hear the soul. You'll lead gently because you've carried something heavy with no help. And this is the hidden blessing of the protector's path. You are not just creating purpose. You are becoming a midwife to purpose in others, because you didn't just survive the wait, you honored it. You didn't just keep the assignment, you kept it sacred. And now the world will taste the fruit of what you protected privately. Not everyone will understand your journey, but those who carry sacred work will recognize you. They will feel safe with you. They will find rest in your presence. And they will know this one is different. This one doesn't just shine, they steward. This one doesn't just speak, they listen. This one doesn't just dream, they protect. Because some are called to carry and others are called to guard what carries us all. You are the latter. You are a protector of sacred assignments. There are seasons in life that do not make sense while you are in them. Seasons when the phone barely rings, when doors stay closed, when the spotlight drifts away. You sit in silence, surrounded by your thoughts, wondering if life forgot you, if heaven misplaced your name on the list. You wonder why opportunities fade, why people drift, why even your energy feels buried beneath delays. And yet beneath it all something whispers, you are not punished. You are being prepared because what comes requires the strongest version of you. You are being strengthened, stretched, refined. Not because you failed, but because the next chapter demands more than you've ever given. Not more performance, but more presence. Not more hustle, but more healing. Not more grind, but more groundedness. You are being shaped into someone who won't collapse under the weight of what's coming. Because the future you are headed toward doesn't need potential. It needs capacity. Potential is a spark, but capacity is a container. Potential is promise, but capacity is readiness. And right now, your life is being carved into a deeper vessel so it can hold what's next. Every delay, every detour, every lonely night is shaping you. Not breaking you, but forming you. You've been praying for the promise, but God has been building your spine. You've been asking for expansion, but heaven has been preparing your endurance. You've been begging for the next level, but it requires a different version of you. The one who isn't swayed by noise, doesn't leak energy through people pleasing, no longer trades discernment for approval. You are becoming unshakable, the kind of person who walks through fire and emerges with wisdom instead of smoke, the kind who doesn't just survive storms, but understands them, who learns to dance in the rain, not because it's poetic, but because it's preparation. You are being seasoned in solitude so that when the platform comes, you won't collapse under pressure. You are being strengthened in silence so that when the world listens, you speak from wholeness. This process isn't punishment, it's preservation. You are being pulled from certain people, not because they are bad, but because they cannot follow where you're going. They fed your comfort, not your calling. They catered to your past, not your potential. And so they had to be released, not with resentment, but with reverence. Because when destiny calls, distractions must fall. This is sacred severing, holy shedding. And yes, it hurts. Yes, it confuses. Yes, it feels personal, but it's purposeful. Some connections are temporary so your roots can go deeper undisturbed. You don't grow tall by stretching up alone. You grow by sinking deeper first. And right now, that's what you're doing. Going deep into discipline, healing, clarity. Because shallow strength won't sustain sacred assignments. Half-hearted commitment won't uphold the weight of your mission. You must be full of vision, discernment, alignment. And not just on stage, but in secret. In quiet hours when no one is watching, when no applause is given, when no spotlight shines, that's where true capacity is built. And that building is sacred. You are learning to trust your inner knowing, to hear the whisper behind the noise, to rely not on reaction but on revelation. Because where you're going, it won't be talent that keeps you standing.